I would much rather own one big, boring commercial building than 10 or even 100 rental properties. I think door count is literally just a vanity metric that real estate investors like to use to look really cool online.
So what do you mean by that? I mean, what do you, so we were just talking about this before we started, like, is that a mobile home park? Is that one, are you saying one property, one apartment complex, one mobile home park? Or are you talking about like one commercial triple net? Like,
I mean, if you're asking me personally, I'm talking one triple net property. Look, I own hundreds of doors. It's a vanity metric. I know guys that I know men and women that own hundreds of doors who
as you say that, you got the book behind you, both of you, with 100 units.
Look.
Number of units is a vanity metric. Anyways, guys, join the 0 to 100 Elite Mastermind. 0 to 100 doors, 100 units, 100, or maybe it's just 100 square feet of triple net industrial. That's a tiny little building.
It is. Look, there's nothing wrong with having goals that include door counts, but you have to recognize that it's a vanity metric. I mean, look, you guys have hundreds of doors. I have hundreds of doors. It sounds really cool, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can make a lot of money and build a lot of wealth in real estate by accumulating doors. I think there's power, but I think there's power behind that. I mean, yes, we have the book, wherever that book. There we go. I'm pointing backwards. That book, right? The book that we wrote. Not me. You guys, but yeah, I helped.
Yeah, you're in it, man.
Yeah.
So your name's on the cover.
Anyway, getting back on track. Yeah, I'd rather own, and it does come down to fundamentals. Like I have this five portfolio commercial property that I bought. It's 5 buildings. Those 5 doors cash flow like 10x the amount of my couple hundred doors of mobile home parks, right?
10x that shit.
What?
10x that shit. 10x that shit.
10x that shit. Yeah. So while you guys are dick riding mobile home parks, I'm focused on buying cash flow commercial triple net properties.
Okay. First of all, you just said 5. You said 5 of those though do better than your other ones. So you opened it up with 1.
All right. Okay.
You get
fine.
1. Okay.
Fine.
The other thing is, if you just here's my argument to 1, because here's my only hesitation, and you can argue this. I don't know.
I got one. I got one that's really fucking good. I'll tell you about it.
Okay. I think you do, and I know you do, but like my only hesitation of that is not vanity. It's like spreading risk. Like that's where my brain goes, because like if that one business moves out and I've got one property, one tenant, right? That makes me nervous. Now I get it. It could be an amazing tenant that you've underwrote and they've got an incredible history and they've been there 100 years or whatever. But like, that's where my brain goes. I think it's less about vanity and it's more about like spreading some risk out among assets.
Look, and I'm all about spreading risks out. Look, I own very little single family these days, but I still own some small multifamily. I still own many mobile home parks. I own mixed use properties, and I own triple net properties. And so my risk is spread out among asset classes. But when I say I'd rather own one commercial building than 10 rentals or even 100 rentals, it's because my commercial assets, my true commercial assets with a strong commercial tenant, my profit and loss statement every month looks the same, right? A true triple net property, they're paying rent, they're paying maintenance, repairs, taxes, insurance. Where a lot of like multifamily, I was just having this conversation with someone this morning who is actually transitioning out of the mobile home park space and going all in on commercial. My commercial assets, the P&Ls look like this: rent, mortgage, rent, mortgage. And he was saying, man, my multifamily stuff, my mobile home parks, he's like, every year it looks different. My P&L, I'm like, every year, every month it looks different, right? And believe me, mobile home parks have served me well. I like the asset class. I just think people, they want a door count, and it still comes down to fundamentals. You could have 100 doors and it sounds really cool and the cash flow be 0. Or you could have 100 doors and be making a 6-figure income, and then it actually really is cool. My point is, it's not about the number of doors. I have a single building, one property with 2 tenants in it, and that one property, the cash flow is much higher than several of my mobile home parks combined, or several of my multifamily properties combined. That's all the point I'm trying to make.
No, and I like that, and I get it. You do have your risk spread out, so you're kind of living both, the best of both worlds. But I think one of my questions with triple net, and I'm not a triple net guy, I might be someday, but I'm just curious, like, are you getting the same forced appreciation with that one big building? Because I mean, it's a in my mind, and I might be wrong, but it's like here's my take is like you can negotiate a really good structure for really good cash flow, but it's not really the same as like buying an MHP and making it better and like unlocking a lot of that equity. Is that true, or am I missing something on that?
Hey, look, it's the same question that you love when somebody asked Robert Kiyosaki, is this a good investment? And his response was, are you a good investor? And Mitch, I know that you love quoting that. I think the same is true, whether it's MHP, whether it's RV, which you guys passed on that RV park, and I got my appraisal back $1 million more than just rubbing it in, guys. It appraised $1 million more than what I bought it for.
Just dick riding that RV park again. I just wanted to say that word too, because Gabe said it earlier. Yeah, sorry.
That was my roundabout answer. So like in the commercial space, in the triple net space, the value add is much different. So like MHP, right? It's very much about decreasing expenses, increasing revenue through rent increases, utility bill backs, beautification of the park so you can demand more rent. In the commercial space, the triple net space, a lot of times it is upfront lease negotiations, right? How you negotiate that lease, right? It's not always a value add play in the sense of manipulating the NOI with, but you're negotiating that up front. So I'm closing on a property this month. It's a triple net medical building. It's on a 20-year lease, right? And so my due diligence is really on how strong is the tenant and their ability to pay. But then that lease, that master big lease that has a corporate guarantee and personal guarantees attached to it, which makes it really strong. And there's built-in rent bumps. And so it's a true triple net. I don't have any expenses at all. I'm not paying taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, they are. But they're also locked into a lease for 20 years with rent bumps working in that. So it may not be as aggressive in some ways as being able to increase rents immediately, but there's a long-term
growth over time.
Play there. Yeah.
And you've got good cash flow day one, which is kind of a different...
Yeah. But also, if you know that your expenses stay zero or very little and your rents are growing 3 to 5% a year, you can very accurately predict the upside in that building after 5 years.
If you like what you're hearing on this podcast and want to come and hang out with us, as well as other members who are scaling in cash flow real estate, you've got to check out our Elite Mastermind. Inside, we've got investors who own hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate and are doing amazing things. We'd love for you to come join us. Click the link below.
So I would say it's like an asset class spectrum discussion. On one hand, yeah, multifamily. I'm in 250 units of multifamily. Gabe, I know you have multifamily. I hate it. I hate it right now. Maybe someday I'll like it when I sell it. But it's like, that's the other misconception is people say, well, this apartment building generates $100,000 a year in net operating income. Bullshit. All of that NOI gets gobbled up by CapEx. It's very unpredictable. It sucks. Tenants move out every 18 months. I hate multifamily. And then on the other end of the spectrum is the triple net and, triple net. You do triple net industrial. You said triple net medical. I would say the best of both worlds would be to buy a triple net medical building with 5 tenants. 2 dentist office, an orthodontist, a dentist, because then you're spread, like to Mitch's point, you have strong renters, strong rent escalators every year. You've got strong leases, good leverage on the property, but you're also spreading your risk out across 5 different tenants, right? So if you lose one, that space is already built out for a doctor's office or a dental office. There's always a doctor or a dentist that wants to start a practice potentially or move into that space. And then I would say in the middle is mobile home parks, because mobile home parks, yes, it's a residential play. Yes, you're not underwriting businesses that generate lots of income and cash flow, but you're also solving what we talked about before the episode, an affordable housing crisis, and generally the net operating income that mobile home park is spitting out, or the profit, before debt service, is pretty accurate because there's not a lot of surprise CapEx if you underwrite and you do your due diligence on a mobile home park. So hate multifamily. Mitch and I we're even talking about, maybe multi-tenanted medical triple net. And then I think the, mobile home parks is a nice middle ground for asset class.
Well, I'm a slow learner, but I've been listening to Gabe talk about triple net, and I'm more and more interested because I do see it fulfilling. I see it as different than what we do today, but
higher cash flow, high cash flow, which
provide different benefits that we don't necessarily have. So anyway, I'm a learner, but it's interesting to hear about triple net. Sorry, Gabe, I stepped on you.
No, I was going to say there's something that all these asset classes have in common. So you take away single family and small multifamily. All commercial real estate, whether it be mobile home parks, multifamily, or triple net, self-storage, whatever the asset class, the value is based on NOI. So Mitch, you asked the question, like, how do you truly value add? So aside from all the lease negotiated and terms prior, once you own the property, those leases come up. So I have a commercial tenant, and their rent is almost $750,000 per year. Okay, so they've been a tenant for almost 5. They've been tenant for 5 years now, and we negotiated another lease. Now, when that next rent increase, it was a 5% bump. So when you're talking 5% on $750,000 is a pretty decent jump. And then we worked in a 3-year 2 after that, it'll be a 3% bump. And then there's also some other escalations in there and options to renew. So when you already own the property and you're getting up to lease renewal, that's also an opportunity, because as you negotiate a better lease, and typically these are industrial tenants, so they have a lot of infrastructure, a lot of money into the properties. It's expensive for them to move. They want to be there. They have millions of dollars sometimes in machinery and operations, right? So they're happy with a 2, 3, 4, 5% rent bump in order to be able to stay there. But you're increasing your NOI significantly. So not only those upfront prior to closing negotiations, when you already own the property, you start those negotiations early. I want to keep my tenants there. I don't want vacancy, right? I don't want vacancy in these large properties. And so you negotiate those, all of a sudden you're increasing the NOI significantly. And as you guys know, like any other asset class, you increase the NOI, you're increasing the value of that property. That's same across all asset classes.
Well, I got a question for you, Gabe. I honestly don't know this answer because I'm not in triple net, but for listeners, I think the way that listeners, I'll speak for the listeners for a second. They listen to this and they go, okay, of course you're in triple net. You've been investing in single family, multifamily, mobile home parks, all this other stuff forever. So yeah, you've graduated to triple net. My question is though, could a listener with very little money get into triple net and choose that as an asset class and actually go do something impactful?
I think with very little money, I'm a big believer that if your financing is creative enough, whether it's part bank money, part seller financing, you could. We do have a listener who I know personally who bought their first investment property. It was a triple net commercial property. That deal replaced about a third of his income. So one property replaced about a third of his income. So he's not out looking for a duplex. He's out looking for another commercial property to supplement maybe another third of his income. So at some point in the near future, he can walk away from that job if he wants it. Now, yes, I do believe with more experience, I've talked about my Iowa City property many times on this show, where by year 2, I'm in it, no money out of pocket. I got a bank loan. I got a broker second. I negotiated the big rent guarantee. I don't want to go into the whole deal. I've shared it so many times and it's such a great deal, but I'm into that no money out of pocket by year 2. But some of that took experience, the relationships I had, the knowledge I've built over the 20 years. So I don't think it's as simple as yes or no. If you were around the right people and you got the right knowledge and you built the right relationships, could you take down a large commercial, triple net property for your first deal with little to no money? Yeah, you could. Yeah, I absolutely believe you could. Do I think that my past experience and relationships and what I've learned over 20 years has helped me do that in 2023 when I bought that property that essentially is no money out of pocket? Of course. But again,
same advice in any commercial asset class, right?
Yeah, but you can compress a lot of time frames by being around the right people, getting in the right masterminds, listening to the right podcasts, reading the right books. It's the information's there.
For sure. I think it all comes down to, and I'll just kind of put a bow on it here. Like, this game is best played by knowing the right information, right? That's study, that's education, understanding how to underwrite deals, how to talk to brokers. It's also in parallel with that, knowing the right people. Getting around the right people, you cannot help but become like them. I made this mistake for a long time. I took advice from the wrong people. I was around the wrong people. I was around people that were not doing what I wanted to do, and therefore I was getting the wrong advice. The second you get around people who are living the life you want to live, you'll start to become like them, think like them. You'll start to read the same books, speak like them. And from there, you'll get results like them as well.